Imagine eating a devil fruit and having a 10% chance at gaining powers. The rest just lose their ability to feel sadness. That's the nightmare of smile fruits. Caesar Clown and Doflamingo cooked these up in labs using SAD, trying to mass produce Zoan powers on the cheap. What they created was body horror, with a smile painted on top. Successful smile users don't get clean transformations. Hamlet had a baboon growing out of his waist that he couldn't control or dismiss. It's a mutation you're stuck with forever. 9 out of 10 people who eat a smile don't even get powers. They just break, forced to laugh and smile through their own suffering. Kaido used this as psychological warfare in Wano. Even when smiles work, the ceiling is embarrassingly low. No durability, no combat instincts, nothing real Zoans provide. Gifters barely handled Brook and Chopper during Onigashima. There's no awakening path, no growth potential. You're capped at whatever random mutation the fruit gave you. These are supposed to be Kaido's foot soldiers, and they were getting washed by the Straw Hat support crew. Zoan devil fruits don't win fights by being flashy. They win because when everyone else is broken, bleeding, and out of stamina, they're still standing. Standard Zoans grant 3 forms: human, full animal, and the all-important hybrid. But the real power isn't the transformation itself, it's endurance. Rob Lucci's Leopard Zoan fused Rokushiki martial arts with predatory speed and claws that tore through steel. Oda's confirmed that carnivorous Zoans come with aggression baked into the biology, and you feel it in every exchange. Lucci took punishment from Gear 2nd and 3rd that should have ended his career. Instead, his Zoan physiology kept him conscious, upright, and lethal through sheer biological refusal to quit. Marco's Phoenix is mythical tier, but even regular Zoans show accelerated recovery the longer a fight drags on. The hybrid form is where Zoan mastery reveals itself. Weak users treat it like a light switch. Human on, animal on, no nuance. Elite users treat it like a custom build. Dalton's Bison Zoan was built for raw and charge power. Pell's Falcon Zoan sacrificed bulk for altitude and maneuverability. The fruit gives you parts, you decide the weapon. And that logic doesn't stop with people. Zoans are the only devil fruits confirmed to work with objects. When a weapon eats a Zoan, it doesn't just gain power, it gains instinct. Funkfried doesn't swing like a sword, it acts like an elephant. That's why the recent manga chapters set off alarms with Ragnir, Loki's massive warhammer from Elbaf. It moves on its own, it answers to will, it summons lightning without being thrown. And unlike Vegapunk's artificial creations, it feels old, ancient. If Ragnir truly consumed a mythical Zoan, whether a Nidhogg-style dragon gnawing at roots of the world or a thunder deity tied to Norse myth, it wouldn't just be a weapon, it would be a guardian, something alive enough to choose its wielder. Its reaction to Loki's haki suggests the same truth we learned with Luffy. Some powers don't awaken unless the will is right. In that sense, Ragnir isn't swung, it permits itself to be used. Zoan abilities come with a hard limitation. They don't control environments, they don't rewrite terrain, or impose rules the way Paramecia users do. There's no spatial dominance, no battlefield-wide manipulation. What you see is what you get, a stronger, tougher, faster version of the user layered with animal traits. That simplicity is both the appeal and the ceiling. Paramecia is the wildcard class, the grab bag of everything that isn't an animal or an element. That vagueness is exactly what makes it dangerous. You never know if you're fighting someone who can turn into rubber or someone who can flick a booger at you that explodes. Luffy's Gomu Gomu no Mi seemed like a joke fruit for years. Rubber doesn't sound threatening compared to magma or earthquakes. Then, Luffy invented gears, using his rubber physiology as a foundation for techniques that let him fight warlords, admirals, and Yonko. He turned a weak body alteration fruit into a combat system that adapted to every opponent he faced. The ceiling is determined almost entirely by user creativity rather than the fruit's raw specs. Body type Paramecia make your body the weapon. Buggy's Barabara no Mi lets him split into pieces, making him immune to slashing attacks, one of the most common damage types in the world. Mr. One's Supa Supa no Mi turned his entire body into blades, letting him generate cutting edges from any part of his anatomy. Alvida's Suba Sube no Mi makes everything slide off her skin, which sounds cosmetic until you realize attacks literally slip away without connecting. These fruits don't give you external powers, they rebuild your biology into something exploitable. Substance Generation Paramecia create materials from nothing. Mr. 3's Doru Doru no Mi produces wax that hardens to steel level durability, letting him trap enemies or construct shields mid-fight. Magellan's Doku Doku no Mi generates poison so lethal it melts stone and turns Impelled down into a death trap he controls absolutely. Magellan hospitalized Luffy and would have killed him without help. Probably one of the most broken devil fruits we've seen in the series. Environmental manipulation, Paramecia rewrite the rules. Blueno's Doa Doa no Mi creates doors in anything, walls, air, even dimensions, giving him unparalleled infiltration and escape options. Haki interaction is where Paramecia gets complicated. Armament lets you hit Logia and block attacks, but it doesn't negate abstract Paramecia effects. You can punch Luffy with Haki and hurt him despite his rubber body, but Haki doesn't stop Law from swapping your personality with someone else inside his room. It doesn't prevent Sugar from turning you into a toy. It doesn't reverse Hancock, turning you to stone if you felt attraction. Some Paramecia simply operate on vectors Haki can't block because they're not conventional attacks, but Paramecia lack default durability. A Zoan user takes hits better naturally. A Logia avoids damage through intangibility. Most Paramecia users are as fragile as normal humans, unless their specific fruit happens to grant toughness. Robin dies to a clean headshot. Foxy gets knocked out by mid-level punches. Even someone like Mr. 1 with a defensive fruit still takes internal damage from blunt force. Without Haki or external defenses, Paramecia users get overwhelmed by opponents who match their tricks with raw power. The range of power is absurd. The class has more duds than any other type, simply because everything that's not Zoan or Logia covers a staggering variety of powers, many of which are borderline useless in real fights. At their peak though, Paramecia users compete with anyone. Whitebeard's Gura Gura no Mi cracked islands. Boa Hancock's Miro Miro no Mi turned vice admirals to stone. Trafalgar Law's Ope Ope no Mi performed spatial surgery on Yonko level bodies. The inconsistency keeps them mid-tier on average, but the top end is absolutely monstrous. Ancient Zoans are what happens when you take a standard Zoan and multiply every physical stat by 5. They're not subtle, they're not versatile, they're just brutally, exhaustingly, overwhelmingly difficult to put down. Dinosaurs didn't survive millions of years by playing fair. They were apex predators with bite force that crushed bone, mass that flattened prey, and hides thick enough to shrug off attacks that would kill smaller creatures. Ancient Zoans translate that directly into combat stats. X-Drake's Allosaurus fruit turned him into a walking tank that could brawl with Pacifista and come out standing. Page 1's Spinosaurus form 8 attacks from Sanji that would have knocked out regular Zoan users and kept charging. Queen demonstrated exactly how terrifying ancient Zoans get when paired with actual skill. His Brachiosaurus fruit gave him ridiculous mass and power, which he used to grapple and crush opponents with body weight alone. Then he added cybernetic enhancements, plagues, and lasers, because why not? The Zoan frame could handle augmentations that would tear apart normal human bodies. He took direct hits from Marco, Big Mom, and Sanji's most powerful techniques and kept fighting for hours. That's ancient Zoan stamina. You don't just hurt them, you have to break them completely or they outlast you. King combined his Pteranodon ancient Zoan with Lunarian biology to become nearly untouchable. His dinosaur form granted aerial dominance and devastating dive attacks, while his Lunarian flames made him invulnerable when activated. Zoro had to figure out the exact timing to strike between King's defensive mode and speed mode, and even then, it took Advanced Conqueror's Haki and Enma to finally bring him down. The ancient Zoan made King durable enough that raw power wasn't enough. You needed precision and overwhelming force simultaneously. Factions treat ancient Zoans as strategic assets. Kaido's Tobi Roppo were his elite enforcers, specifically because their fruits made them cutthroat commanders. One ancient Zoan user can hold choke points against entire squads. They're the officers you send when you need something destroyed and you need the person doing the destroying to survive counterattacks. The rarity compounds their value. Ancient models are significantly harder to find than standard Zoans, making them prizes for any crew strong enough to secure one. Advanced Paramecia users don't win fights by hitting harder, they win by deciding the outcome before the fight even begins. Once their ability is active, you're no longer reacting to an opponent, you're surviving inside a system that was built to crush you. Trafalgar Law's Ope Ope no Mi turns the battlefield into an operating room. In Punk Hazard and Wano, we watched him calmly dissect enemies from across the room, swapping limbs, removing hearts, severing organs without ever needing to land a conventional blow. You can harden your body with haki all you want. It doesn't matter when the attack comes from inside the space you're standing in. This is the defining trait of advanced Paramecia. They attack rules, not bodies. Big Mom's Soru doesn't overpower you, it interrogates you, show fear, and your lifespan gets ripped out in seconds. During Whole Cake Island, entire armies collapsed without being touched, their souls weaponized into homies that reshaped the battlefield itself. Whitebeard took that same concept and scaled it to apocalyptic levels. At Marineford, he didn't aim at soldiers. He grabbed the air, cracked it like glass, and let the ocean do the killing. You can't dodge an earthquake when the ground beneath your feet is the weapon. Doflamingo's Ito Ito was the purest expression of Paramecia domination. Strings that stitched organs, hijacked nervous systems, controlled entire crowds like puppets. And when Luffy finally forced him into awakening, Dressrosa itself betrayed its defenders, buildings unraveling into string, reforming faster than they could be destroyed. The city stopped being cover, it became ammunition. Katakuri pushed this even further. His Mochi Mochi blurred the line between Paramecia and Logia, but paired with Future Sight, it felt unfair. Every punch Luffy threw was already outdated. Katakuri wasn't reacting, he was editing the timeline in real time. Wano showed the next evolution. Kid's Jiki Jiki Awakening didn't just manipulate metal, it rewrote targeting logic. In his fight against Big Mom, he didn't throw debris at her, he turned her into the magnet, burying an emperor under collapsing steel she couldn't escape from. And then there's Sugar, one touch. Remember Dressrosa? Fighters erased mid-battle, turned into toys, their existence wiped from memory. No clash, no counter, no hockey solution. The fight simply ended, and the world forgot it ever happened. That's why advanced Paramecia users are so terrifying. When hockey is layered onto abilities that already bend reality, the fight stops being about strength, speed, or endurance. These users don't outfight you. They set the win condition, then wait for you to realize you were never playing the same game. Subscribe now because we're entering God tier territory. Logia users don't just fight you, they remove you from the battlefield while taking no damage in return. Pre-time skip, they were pure nightmare fuel. Your punches didn't miss, they passed through nothing. Crocodile turned into sand and let attacks scatter him across the wind, laughing while opponents realized they couldn't even touch him. Smoker slipped through iron bars as smoke, unbothered by prisons or walls. Enel became lightning itself, teleporting across Skypiea and striking from the sky like a god passing judgment. Against Logias, distance didn't mean safety, it meant they could kill you without ever closing in. What made Logias terrifying wasn't just intangibility, it was scale. Ace didn't throw fireballs, he reshaped landscapes, blanketing battlefields in flame. Akainu took that idea and weaponized it brutally. The Magu Magu no Mi isn't flashy, it's final. At Marineford, Magma punched through defenses, melted massive weapons, and turned entire sections of the battlefield into instant death zones. Ace didn't lose because he was weaker. He lost because Magma overwrites fire. The fruit didn't hesitate, and neither did Akainu. Kizaru removed speed from the equation entirely. Light speed kicks, lasers fired mid-sentence, teleportation by dissolving into photons. You weren't outmatched, you were outpaced by physics. Kuzan showed the opposite side of the spectrum with how deadly ice can be. His fight with Akainu didn't end when the clash stopped. Punk Hazard itself became the aftermath. One side frozen solid, the other a volcanic wasteland, permanently scarred by two Logias colliding at full power. Awakening is what happens when a devil fruit stops being something you use and starts being something you exist inside of. I think every devil fruit has a soul within the fruit, and once you awaken the fruit's true power, your will comes into direct contact with the soul of the fruit and ultimately dictates the user's powers moving forward. Once it activates, escape is no longer an option. The battlefield doesn't just favor the user, it actively works against you. Doflamingo spelled it out in Dressrosa. Awakening allows a devil fruit to affect things beyond the user's body, and when his Ito Ito awakened, the city itself turned traitor. Buildings unraveled into razor wire. Streets lashed out like living organisms, and cover ceased to exist. Luffy wasn't just fighting Doflamingo, he was fighting Dressrosa. Karakuri took this concept and perfected it. Inside the mirror world, his awakened Mochi didn't come from one direction, it came from everywhere. Walls, floors, ceilings, all became extensions of his will, attacking simultaneously while his future sight erased reaction time. There was no safe angle, no dead zone. In Wano, awakening crossed into outright rule breaking. Law's K-Room didn't overpower Big Mom's haki, it bypassed it. His blade extended through space itself, cutting her internally while she was still standing. Kid followed by stripping her of agency entirely, assigning magnetism to her body, and turning her into the center of a collapsing metal grave she couldn't escape. That's the price of awakening. The power is overwhelming, but finite. Control is everything. Those who master it become unavoidable. Those who don't burn out or lose themselves. And that's why awakening sits above Logia. Because once it begins, you're not fighting a person anymore. You're fighting the world they control. Mythical Zoans sit at the top because they don't specialize. They dominate every category at once. Where other devil fruits trade one advantage for another, Mythical Zoans stack them without compromise. Marco's Phoenix is the cleanest example. His blue flames don't burn, they undo damage. At Marineford and during the Onigashima raid, Marco absorbed Admiral level attacks while simultaneously healing allies mid-combat. He didn't dodge danger, he erased its consequences. Kaido's Seiryu pushed this even further. As an Azure Dragon, he commanded flame clouds, lightning, wind, and overwhelming firepower while retaining durability so extreme he earned the title Strongest Creature Alive. He lifted entire islands casually, tanked advanced conquerors' blows, and kept fighting like gravity itself didn't apply to him. But Luffy's Hito Hito no Mi model, Nika, shattered the ceiling entirely. Gear 5th wasn't just an awakening, it was a genre shift. Luffy didn't gain more strength, he gained freedom. The ground became rubber, lightning became something he could grab, physics turned optional. He inflated Kaido like a balloon, ran through the air, and bent reality into slapstick violence without losing lethality. It was Zoan transformation, Paramecia level environmental control, and narrative breaking absurdity fused into one state. That's the defining trait of Mythical Zoans. Sengoku's Daibutsu radiated shockwaves that flattened supernovas. Versatility is what breaks the power ceiling. Ancient Zoans endure. Logias devastate. Advanced Paramecia manipulate reality. Mythical Zoans do all three simultaneously. Awakened, they don't feel like abilities anymore. They feel like divine authority, given form. You're not fighting a devil fruit user. You're fighting a living legend that refuses to die, adapt, or lose.